Is Christianity anti-Semitic? The answer might surprise you. Before we can answer this question, however, we have to define our terms. What exactly is anti-Semitism? I will begin by saying what anti-Semitism is not. Anti-Semitism cannot be defined as being in disagreement with Israeli foreign policy, despite the fact that many people in the world today are holding to this view. Nor can anti-Semitism mean simply that you disagree with and hold as false the teachings of Judaism, because if this were the case, then Christianity, which is the only true religion, would be anti every other religious tradition in the world. So what is anti-Semitism? Well, in the end, this may actually be a useless term, but for the sake of this video, we will use the Oxford definition, which says that it is hostility to or prejudice against Jewish people. How are we going to go about answering this question now? Well, I am going to draw on our holy tradition, and our tradition is comprised of written and oral teachings. Preeminent in the written tradition is the scripture. And we have actually multiple scriptural passages in the New Testament which are quite against Jewish people. This has to be said. I could bring up multiple scriptural passages which would put me in danger of getting a strike on YouTube simply for reading the scriptures. And if you think about it, that's actually a pretty frightening thought. So, there are scriptural passages which are quite hostile to Jewish people. For example, laying the blame of deicide upon their shoulders. What else do we have to draw upon in tradition? Well, we have other written traditions, such as the lives of the saints and the writings of the saints themselves. Very well known among these are the homilies of St. John Chrysostom, called Adversus Judaeos, against the Jews, which paint the Jews in a quite unfavorable light. Beyond that, we also have the traditions of the services of the church. Now, if you attend church regularly, you come to the Matins service, and you listen carefully, you will notice that there is I would say it would be called an anti-Semitic strain to the services. And these services, the services of the church, are didactic in nature. They are meant to teach us something. And so if you are going to church regularly and you're listening to the services, when Jews are brought up in the services which are sung, you will notice that they are never brought up in a favorable light. In fact, as I said, being didactic in nature, the services paint Jews in an unfavorable light, simply put, in every instance they are brought up. So I think basing our answer on these various written traditions that I have mentioned, I would say that Christianity actually does have an anti-Semitic strain to it. And beyond the written traditions, we also have oral traditions and attitudes which are simply passed on from person to person. For example, in the Russian church, we have a historic memory of what happened in the 20th century with the Bolshevik Revolution. And the Russian church understands and knows who were the people that were behind the Bolshevik Revolution. We keep this in memory, and this ends up being an attitude which is passed on from person to person, which could be also considered anti-Semitic. And so, having brought up these various aspects of our Orthodox Christian tradition, we could say, actually, that Christianity is, in fact, anti-Semitic to a degree. However, I would like to balance this opinion with a warning, because in some circles in the church today, I do notice that people have I would say, a hot, burning hatred for Jewish people. And this is not something that would be salutary. This would not be a healthy thing for a person to carry about inside their heart from a spiritual perspective. So if you have a hatred for any group of people, then I would suggest that when you begin your prayer rule at night, if you have some person or group of person that you hate and that it has this hot, burning hatred in your heart, you should, in fact, begin your prayer rule by praying for that person or for those people. So I want to balance this out. The teaching of the church actually does, I think, as a way of warning, have this anti-Semitic strain. But we have to, as Christians, we have to follow the commandment to love our neighbors. And so, in conclusion, let us, as Christians, pray for our own salvation, for the salvation of our Christian brothers and sisters, Jewish people, and for the whole world. Thanks for watching.